I don't know why he never remarried. I feel sorry for the both of them." Mrs. Strawberry took up her needles and tugged on the wool. "That poor Mr. Valentine. He's so darned busy. It's good work, of course. Why, it's the work of saints he does, raising all that money for polio. But I wish he had more time for Laurie." She began to work the needles, and they ticked as steadily as a clock. "It's like he's trying to save every child in the country and forgetting his own."
"That does sound sad," said Mr. Strawberry, as though following a script.
"She's so much like him, smart as a whip," said Mrs. Strawberry. "Shy and quiet, too. You should see how she plays. She takes every book from the shelf and stacks them into walls, talking away to herself a mile a minute. She always arranges the books in the same way, in a square. But one day it's a castle, and the next a sailing ship, or a fort, or a covered wagon. It's all imaginary, you see."
"Yes,"
said Mr. Strawberry. As always, Mrs. Strawberry finished with a clack of her knitting needles and some final words. "That child lives in a land of make-believe." There were pictures everywhere of Mrs. Valentine, black-framed photos that stood like little cardboard tents on the mantelpiece and radio, on the sideboard in the hall, on every windowsill and table. But to Laurie, these were images of strangers, of 20 different women, all fading into brown and yellow. Sometimes, in the night, she could hear her father talking to the pictures. He was her hero, the second smartest man in the world. Only Santa Claus knew more than Laurie's father. He raised money for the March of Dimes, but she thought of him as some sort of soldier. He was always talking about fighting.
"We're waging a war against polio," he would say. Or, "We've won the battle, but the fight goes on."
His uniform was a brown suit, his helmet a gray fedora. Every morning, as soon as Mrs. Strawberry arrived, he put on that hat, gave Laurie a kiss, and hurried away to catch the bus. And Mrs. Strawberry, still holding her handbag, still wearing her gloves, would make sure that the knot on his tie was perfectly straight, that he hadn't forgotten his briefcase. "People think your father's scatterbrained," she told Laurie, "but he's so busy with big ideas that he doesn't have time to think of little things." Laurie thought of herself as one of those little things. Mr. Valentine never had time to play with her. He spent his evenings in the armchair, smoking his pipe, reading the papers he brought home from work. He didn't like noise, and he didn't like music, so the house was very quiet, the only sounds the rustle of his paper. But for a few minutes before her bedtime, Laurie was allowed to sit on his lap, and the smoke from his pipe coiled round the two of them like a gray rope. She liked to fiddle with his tie clasp, watching reflections twist on the gold. On the day she drew the map, Laurie brought the atlas to his chair. She put it on his knees and climbed up beside him. It was such a big book that it hit his pipe when she opened it. Then she nestled against him and started telling him all the things about the map of her life.
"Isn't that wonderful?" he said.
But he wasn't really listening. Laurie grew up to be quiet and shy. She grew up wearing glasses as big as windows. They kept sliding down her nose, and she spent all day poking them into place with her middle finger. She grew up afraid of daffodils. To her, the yellow flowers were the beginning of summer.